I'm very happy today to introduce to you Stacy, and Ty. Congratulations for your article being published in Authority magazine recently. It's titled Lessons from a Thriving Power Couple. Stacy and Ty are founders of the company called Under the Sheets Academy, an intriguing title, I must say. It's an online platform dedicated to helping couples unlock their full sexual potential. They offer practical courses on bedroom skills. Her master's in psychology and Ty's interest in training in nutrition and men's health create an approach to bedroom enhancement based on physical health, nutrition, mindset, and techniques. They believe that sexual exploration enhances a couple's long-term relationship success. Stacy and Ty, you might have both been called health coaches when you met. When a person's health improves, their curiosity about improving their sexual experience must also increase. How did you move into this premise or move this premise into a business?
Well, it was a process, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't planned. It evolved, and then, like you said, we both coached in very different realms. Mine was physical transformations, specifically for men over 35. And just like you mentioned there, as somebody's health improved, that ripples through every area of your life, your mindset, everything. But especially because I was dealing with men's hormones that were changing, testosterone, things like that, and improving that, a massive ripple effect and that was seen was the improvement in the bedroom, the desire they had again, the performance capabilities, and that was a byproduct, and that was just a common thing through every successful body transformation and the methods we use to achieve like a six-pack and abs. It was also achieving better sex for guys. And at the time, Stace was coaching women through eating, and I'll let you take care of that. But we both saw these improvements, and it just kind of made sense because it was a beacon, like, well, we can improve other people's, another very, very important area of people's lives that so many people don't talk about or feel unfulfilled. It's like, well, it made sense to not only do what we're doing now, but transition and provide a service here as well.
Yeah, we also saw a gap, I guess,
Yeah.
For adults, a practical way for adults to learn. Personally, and I know from a lot of other people, learn a lot by seeing and doing rather than just reading. And there was a very big gap in the market for couples to learn new bedroom skills. Really, the only way to learn by seeing was through entertainment purposes. And that's, that can be quite dangerous for people. It's not a good depiction of what actually happens in a bedroom, and it's often focused on a male gaze. So there's this huge gap between male and female pleasure. So we saw a gap, and there was talking to more couples, we found that there was a demand for it as well. So that's how our backgrounds were very important to see that effect in ourselves and our clients, but then also realizing that there's really nowhere or was nowhere for couples to learn to become better in the bedroom, although there was a desire for it.
After you pass puberty and you've gotten the basic sex lecture about puberty, there isn't any place that's comfortable to learn about,
right.
How to be more fulfilled sexually. So what inspired you to work together and then to marry?
We're not married yet.
Yeah, we're not yet.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
It's coming. Thanks, Nancy. A lot of pressure there.
We saw when we work very well together. We saw and we both have a passion for the work that we're doing. So it was very natural for us to start working together. We find that in our work partnership, we complement each other so much. So where I felt like I lacked in skills, Ty makes up for, and vice versa. So it was kind of just a natural progression to start working together in this space. It wasn't really like a hey, should we work together and go for it? It kind of just started happening, and then we formulated the business, and yeah, just
Yeah, I guess too, a passion that we both have is not only this industry and helping people, as you know, both being coaches, but is actual business itself. We do, that's a massive interest of ours and something that we, you know, work together. And we actually find that really bonding. You know, we talk to other couples who work together and they need breaks from each other. To be honest, we thrive together. So we've got a really good formula. It's probably the best business partnership you could have.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's great. I think it would almost be a necessity in the line of work that you are doing, that you feel safe and comfortable and compatible with each other.
That's right.
How do you manage such a challenging business where you share so much of your lives in a public way and still thrive privately as a couple?
I guess the lines have kind of blurred a bit, to be honest. And what I mean by that is there isn't this sort of black and white private public. They kind of just blend together. For instance, we have a relatively, you know, compared to others, it's very modest, but we have a relatively large following on TikTok, and wherever we go, a lot of times we're getting recognized, and that just kind of just like, hey, you know, we make reference to it and carry on, and you know, people recognize us from our line of work and things like that. But really now that's just become the norm, and we don't really see a difference or a need to have a difference. Like, okay, at 8 o'clock we now switch off that and we're into this. It's just kind of who we are now, and we're okay with that.
I guess also because what we do online is authentically us. It doesn't feel like we're trying to, you know, we don't put on a persona and put that forward. As Ty said, it really blends because it's just kind of who we are. And so, you know, we don't share absolutely everything on the internet. You know, we still have our private moments and we have things that we keep between us. And so I guess, you know, there's still that aspect of, you know, what we allow everyone to see, but it kind of just is who we are. So yeah, we don't feel like there's a definitive cutoff with that.
It, you know, from my perspective, and I of course don't know your business, but it seems like there would need to be some kind of boundary, so some things are kept personal, not everything is public. How do you handle disagreements?
Well, can't, apart from like little things, okay, let me say it again. I probably welcome them because it gives us another perspective on things.
Okay.
I would actually be very worried if Stace agreed with everything I said.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's actually really good because we both trust each other. We know somebody's not just trying to win an argument for the sake of an argument, or like if you were in a normal work environment, somebody has to justify their position by giving an opinion. There's nothing like that. So disagreements are opportunities to see it from another perspective. So that's, I don't think we've ever had one where we haven't been able to come to, you know, a mutual agreement.
No, we both know that we're on the same team, and so when we have a difference in perspective, it really is just about communication, understanding that person's perspective and being truthful of, well, I actually don't agree with that, this is why. But it never turns into like a full-blown fight or anything. We just understand the perspective and then come to agreement or think about it, and then one of us will actually, you know, come and say, actually, I think you're right, let's do it like that, or I see where you're coming from.
And the beautiful part of this is there's no ego involved. At all. Like in a normal work environment, there could be egos, you know, people are threatened in positions. There's none of that. And I think that actually this is a huge benefit. So we take that approach in, you know, in business and our work, where we know the other person has a different perspective, but it's potentially it could be a better perspective than yours. So that also transitions over into our relationship outside of business too. Just because they have a different perspective doesn't mean you're right or they're wrong. So it's actually taking the lessons and the way we are in business into the relationship as well is a huge benefit.
Yeah.
That really is amazing. You know, my primary work is with couples. I teach couples how to talk without fighting. And to hear you have the perspective you do about disagreements or just an opportunity to learn something it's such a mature perspective that many couples do not benefit from that perspective. So
You could serve many people well, that.
I'm impressed. I love that you both have the mindset of giving 60% to each other. Would you give us some examples of how that works?
Well, we don't have, so to speak, written chores or tasks. Whenever the opportunity is there to do whatever needs to be done, we'll do it. And it's not like, oh, well, I'll leave that for Stace. She hasn't done any, that's her role. There's none of that. We obviously have favored roles or tasks or chores or requirements that need to be done, but it's never like, oh, I finished my list, I'm done now, and then sit back.
Yeah, I guess where that comes from as well is we're both always looking for ways to help the other person. So Ty cooks 90% of our meals, and that's so that I can work on the business or do things while we're both essentially being productive. But we're always looking for ways to help the other person. So often we'll say, no, I'll cook dinner tonight, and it will be a little bit of a disagreement of who's going to cook.
There's no disagreements.
Usually it's about a disagreement of, no, I want to do that for you. So we're always offering ourselves to do something for the other person. It's never expected. So just because Ty usually cooks, I don't expect him to cook all the time, and I'm always offering. And so I guess it's just this mindset of, I want to help my partner, and I want to do things for Ty, and he wants to do things for me. So it's this great partnership of always feeling supported, but also feeling like, I'm not all of the chores rely on me or him.
And I think too, just coming in with that mindset, knowing that if you give more, the other person has the ability or the space to thrive. If that other person is burdened down with tasks and chores, how can they be their best self? And therefore, without sounding selfish, give their best self back to you.
Right.
So just coming in with that mindset of, I'm happy to do more, and the other person has that same mindset, you never end up doing more. It's just, it's give and take, ebbs and flows, and nobody feels, somebody's done more or less than the other. There's no scores kept.
I love hearing that. It's such a healthy way to keep the relationship thriving. I call it putting money in your partner's bank account.
Yes.
The bigger bank account you have with your partner, the more your partner has to give back to you. And that's just basic economics,
Yeah.
It is, Nancy, that's so great that you say it like that, because we actually use that analogy when it actually comes down to sexual desire. And we talk about making, each other has a sexual bank account, and the little actions you do throughout the day, the way you communicate, the way you treat each other, the way you react to each other, is either putting deposits into that bank account that will build to desire, or you're withdrawing, So yeah, exactly what you just said.
Right. There was a book on the market many years ago called Sex Begins in the Kitchen.
Oh, I like
That's
that.
a great
I
one,
like that.
actually.
Isn't that a great title?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many couples stop prioritizing their sexual relationship, their jobs and children, and keeping the lawn mowed and fixing dinner. All those things tend to eat up their energy, so that they haven't learned or haven't chosen to be very intentional about prioritizing their sexual relationship, and the relationship suffers because of it. What advice would you give a couple with this condition?
I think the word intentional
Yeah.
is very important that you mentioned. I will be honest, not every night or every time we have sex, I have the desire at the moment to have sex. But I know that being intimate with Ty is going to provide us both more than just that sexual intimacy. After we are intimate, we feel closer, we have a better connection, and I know the benefits that's going to happen from giving up or spending 30 to 60 minutes in the bedroom is going to benefit us more than just that sexual gratification, I guess. And so it's understanding what that intimacy or sex provides for both partners. And I often think and speak with our clients, what is it worth giving 20, 30 minutes of your day? You're going to get so much benefit from that than if you were just to sit on the TV, sit on the couch and watch TV, or the value that you can get from that intimacy. And so it's being intentional with your time and being intentional with understanding of what's it going to give my partner, what am I going to get from it as well. And it's often more than just sex. You get so much more from it. So yeah, that would be my.
I think if couples really understood, and it's easy, it's so easy for it to move to the back seat. And this is where my health and fitness comes in. For a lot of people, it's so easy to neglect their health, so easy to neglect their workouts, their training. And it's not until later when health conditions start to kick in, it's like, oh man, I should have prioritized that. Or when it comes to a relationship, your health condition you're going to face down the track is you've lost desire for each other. You've lost a connection. You've lost that bond. Realize that having and prioritizing intimacy is the same as like going to the eating healthy day after day, going to the gym. You're looking after your health and you're going to live a long and prosperous life. Same with your relationship, your sex, your intimacy. That is your workouts. That is your nutrition to foster a relationship that's going to last forever. Now, are you going to neglect it if you have that mindset?
Yeah. I tell couples that the investment they make in learning and practicing new communication skills to give them the emotional intimacy that they crave is like buying relationship insurance. It will last for a lifetime.
Like that.
Yeah, that's good.
So you focus on sexual intimacy. My business, I focus on the emotional connection that's created by good communication skills. Both of them need to be present, of course.
Yeah.
You've tackled a topic that for many is taboo, at least a reluctance to talk about it. How do you handle your critics, if there are critics?
Oh,
definitely are critics.
Definitely critics.
Yep, there definitely are, especially because of the nature of the demonstration videos. And it often brings us back to, we're very passionate about it, about what we do, and we really believe in what we do. And so when there are critics, it really is, we don't expect everyone to agree with what we're doing. We don't agree with everything that everyone else does. And so we know that we are for some people and we're not for some people. And so I think it's about bringing it back to that, just, getting into this, we knew that some people wouldn't agree with it. And so bring it back to our mission of why it is so important, can help with that. And because, like I said earlier, it is authentically us. So we're not trying to portray an image, and it doesn't hurt personally. We're aware that there's 8 billion people on this planet. Not everyone's going to agree with what we're doing. We're allowed differences in opinions. So yeah, just I guess having that mindset. Yeah.
And I think, personally, probably me a little bit more than Stace, is going against the grain. Sometimes that's the direction that's most needed. And when we see how much censorship is out there. Now, look, I understand, yes, to a degree, there needs to be, for the majority of people. But when adults are actually trying to learn and educate themselves, and the greater good is enhanced relationships, and they are just so limited to the resources that they can tap into, it really makes us determined to open this space more, make it somewhere where people don't feel so taboo to be even able to speak about it, or even feel guilty for having an interest in wanting to experience more pleasure. So yeah, for us, it's a little bit of it's a grudge how much censorship there is. So we're going against the grain, and that inspires us.
What I'm picking up from the two of you is there's a very different motivation behind your work than pornography, for instance. I'm sure your work's been compared to pornography, but that motivation is so different than what you're describing.
Yeah, absolutely. Pornography is definitely for entertainment purposes, and for some people it can, when consumed appropriately, can serve a purpose also in a relationship. But it is exactly that, it's entertainment. The movie sets where you get the best angles and they're performing and they're retaking scenes, and it's not an accurate depiction of what happens. And our courses are very much demonstration, educational, how-tos, and kind of pulling back the curtains of, how about pleasure, because, we're not, like you said, after high school, we're not really taught about pleasure or the anatomy or anything. And so we're left in this big dark world to kind of find our way ourselves. And there's shame around that because we can't talk to anyone. And if our bodies don't look like the ones in the pornography films or work the way that they do, there's shame around that. Am I broken? How come I can't reach the pleasure that I see other people do in the movies? So it really is educational. It's not for entertainment purposes.
And there was a disturbing stat that we saw a couple of weeks ago, and it said that 2/3 of Gen Z learn sex from pornography. And that's where the danger is. And though a lot of people, like I said, it is entertainment. Hey, and if you come at it from that angle, there's nothing wrong with that. But to actually try and learn, that would be like trying to learn how to fight by watching John Wick. It's just unrealistic. So we want to provide a realistic place where people can go. And yes, they're going to see everything. They're not left guessing, but that's why we do that.
Well, pornography is so scripted, it's real life.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Our viewers can find you at your website. It's called withstaceandty.com. Thank you for all the good you are doing and contributing to our world. And thank you for joining me here today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's see how I can get this stopped.